Welcome to Signs of Spirit, your podcast on learning how those in the spirit world communicate with you in your daily lives and how you can recognize the signs of spirit. With evidential spirit medium, Jock Brokas, founder of Afterlife Connect and president of the ASS MPI.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is Signs of Spirit, and this is your second lesson in our podcast course, which I hope you are all enjoying. And today, we're going to talk a little bit about how Spirit connect with you through the medium of music, if you pardon the pun. And what I'm also going to do is I'm going to bring in a friend of mine, and you'll find that the audio may be a little bit tested because the signal from Skype when we were talking on the phone was not perfect, but it should be clear enough to give you an idea. And it's a wonderful story coming from a friend of mine called Christina, who's going to talk about her experiences. And all too often, when we do these courses or when we try to teach, especially coming from a medium's perspective, it's always about from a medium and maybe the readings that they've done or the experiences that they have with the abilities that they have. And what I wanted to do was to go back to basics, to bring in somebody who's not a medium and who's now awoken to experiences, which is a lot better because you're hearing from somebody who is the same as you, who is perhaps lost a loved one and who questioned many different aspects of it and has now been awoken to the reality of the afterlife. And so let's move on, because today's lesson I don't think is going to be a majorly long lesson, but it's going to give you a good idea. And one of the things, before we jump into examples and things like that, is the reality of life is that everything is a vibration, okay? That anything that exists within the universe is a vibration, whether you can see it or not. It's just a vibration. And you can break that down and look for holes in it if you like, but it's not going to happen. It's a scientific reality. The truth of the matter is that the spiritual law of vibration basically states that everything resonates and exists as a vibratory frequency or a pattern within the universe. And so no matter if it is solid, break it down to its constituent cellular structure, if you like, or atomic fields, and I'm not a scientist, but it would break down to atoms that vibrate at a particular rate, and that frequency gives us the illusion of solidity. Bringing me to the point of musical notes. Music has been inherent in our history for thousands and thousands of years. Music is something that is a very calming influence. It can raise the vibration within you, and it can be an emotional point of attraction. And it doesn't matter. I know there's a big school of thought that, if you listen to rock music and from a religious perspective, it was really bad. But the truth of the matter is that vibrational tones of a musical nature are a higher vibration than we are. And therefore, it would seem more readily acceptable to understand that spirit would be able to communicate on that vibration. Imagine, if you will, spirit, a loved one has passed over and they were a lover of music here, then they're not going to change. They're going to have a love of music. They're going to have a love of music on the other side. And perhaps you may have shared that love with them. You may have shared a particular song or a particular piece of orchestral music, or even a favourite singer, or something of that description. Then there is a connection there. Now, if everything is in a vibration, then you would understand then that spirit could communicate with you through that vibration. And the issue is that when your loved one crosses over, you find, he or she or child, whatever, finds themselves over on the other side of life. And they immediately recognize that they still have a body, they still have if you like, a spirit being, an infrastructure around them, and everything is heightened. The vibrations around them is heightened. Their thoughts, the energy of their thoughts, the way that they can communicate is heightened, and everything is so much more real, if you like. And so when they have that reality, that awakening that they're still alive and that there is no such thing as death, that they're just moved on to a new dimension of life, then the thoughts go back to their loved ones, and they're so excited that they want to come back, and they want to let you know, hey, we're alive. Like you heard in the first lesson, when they bring through signs from, from animals and things. Well, now we're using, we're utilizing the musical aspect of things. And when they have that excitement, they want to come and share it. There's nothing better. They want to come back and say, hey, I'm alive and I exist, and do you remember this? Or they try to awaken you. And because of their sense of heightened vibration, they learn very quickly that they can utilize this and this pattern of vibration to be able to send signs to you. And before I go into explain, maybe how that happens, let me just share with you a little story. One day, a medium, was with a lady who'd lost her husband, and they were actually standing, believe it or not, by the graveside. And on that graveside, the husband had come through and said, hey, I was with you. I heard you playing my CD the other day. You were playing that music for me, thinking of me. And she couldn't remember it straight off until she racked her brain for a while, and then she recognized that, yes, I did. And she was thinking about her husband, and she decided to play a CD that he recorded, because he was he liked his music, and she was listening to that CD, and he came from the other side of life, and said, when you played that CD, I was with you. It's almost like that connection, that vibration makes a link straight away. The very fact that you're only a thought away, your loved ones are only a thought away, it gives you comfort to recognize that when you think about them, or that you do something in their memory, that they know about it. Because one, scientifically, there is no space and time in the afterlife. Everything can be immediate. You're not governed by, or particularly at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock or 1 o'clock, whatever. We're governed by time. We restrict ourselves by time, but they don't. And so when you send a thought out to the universe, they can respond to that, and they will receive that vibration, because there is nothing that breaks. There's nothing that really holds that back. The vibration still exists in one form or another. The only difficulty is that when they're trying to send you a message through that vibration, that in your grief, or in your lack of understanding, or in your upset and your emotional point of attraction, you may not be ready and willing to accept it, and you may not be ready to accept it, and you may have such a painful experience that it's just blocking you. But the reality is that these signs are there, and they're perpetuated around you all the time, and these subtle nuances that surround you, it's just a case of raising your vibration and your awareness. And that's amazing, because the lady who I'm speaking about, she shared that story, Pat, and we don't need to know who the medium or anything was, but at the end of the day, just to know that the loved one had come through and had given her an amazing sign that he was with her. But then, and here's the really exciting thing, he then conveyed to her, I'm going to send you a sign. Listen for the bell. Now that may sound nothing really. Listen for the bell, because it may not be that important. And of course, she would rack back and think, when he was ill and he was suffering, he had a little bell, and he would ring that bell to grab her attention. So again, that's a musical vibration, but was it really what he meant? No, because it didn't sit in her heart, and it didn't seem right to the medium that that was what he meant. Anyway, time had passed, and nothing had been said until one day she was sitting on the balcony of her home, and the church bells rang, and as far as I'm aware, they had never rang for years. They had never been played. It wasn't, and it was in the evening. It's not as if somebody was there or there was a special thing going on. They had never done before, and the church bell tolled. She knew instantly, and that church bell was over in another area. It was quite a distance. It wasn't right by the house. But she knew immediately in her heart and soul that that was for her. And she just was gratuitous. She sent gratitude, and she spoke to her loved one, and she knew it was for her. And there was other signs that came. But it just goes to show you that whilst you can receive these signs, Spirit are very capable of telling you they're going to send you that sign. And also exemplifies the nature that there's a knowingness within your soul, and you will find that out when I speak to my guest today, that there is a knowingness within you that was for me. That sign was for me. And, I want to everybody who sent in stories, to Bob, Christina, Pat, Sarah, everybody who's got in touch with us, thank you guys for sharing your stories, and we'll bring you a lot more. And in Bob's case, in his story that he shared, it was his siblings, his children. He had obviously lost his wife, and his children had picked out songs to play at the funeral or the wake or whatever you want to understand it. And what actually happened, that every time that they were talking about their mother and they were in the car, anything to do with those songs, they seemed to come on the radio, or they seemed to play, or it would even be more in their mind. And, in Bob's case and in Bob's family's case, that's a very important thing to realise, that when a choice is being made, such as the children who have chosen particular songs that the mother loved, she responded, even though she couldn't be with them physically, she responded to let them know, hey, I'm still in your life. And when you're thinking about me, or you talk about me, or you talk about these songs, I'm going to let you know I'm around you, because, they're going to find a way of playing those songs. Or playing that musical instrument, or that of something of that nature. So there's so many ways the Spirit can reach out to us with that particular vibration. And why? Because that vibration, musical notes, is such a clean, powerful vibration that it's easy for the Spirit to manipulate that, whether it be radio waves or in any other way. And this is, we'll get on to other lessons in the future when we talk about electricity, etc. But music is a very pertinent thing, and because that vibration is so light, it's very easy for Spirit to harness that power and harness that vibration and to send that to you. So it's very, it can happen in the least little thing, the least little way, whether when you wake up in the morning or when you go to sleep at night. You can listen out for these tones and these songs that mean something to you. And many people, when they've lost loved ones, are thinking about perhaps a favourite artist or a favourite song, and all of a sudden it will play, like in the case of Bob and his family. Or maybe it doesn't have to be a vibrational musical note. It could be a sign from that artist. And that's happened in many incidents where music has been played. Many people will dream about the artist, or they'll dream about that song, or they'll hear it. They'll hear it clairaudiently in their own perception, and they're within themselves, and it's such a message that it's so strong that it comes to them, and they know that it's from spirit from the other side. And so what I want to do now is to bring in my guest Christina, who can tell you her story, and then we will move on. And you will find that when she speaks about this is coming from someone who's not a professional medium, but who's now realized that she has inherent gifts that she can communicate. And she makes a few points in regards to mediumship, which is very important. And you'll learn from her the reality of how easy it can be from spirit on the other side to communicate with you through the medium of music. So let me bring Christina in, and I apologize for any distortion in music or sound or anything like that, but just know that this that you should be able to hear it and you should learn from it.
Okay, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I would love to introduce to you a good friend of mine. Her name is Christina, and we've known each other for a little while. And Christina, here's the thing. When I teach these lessons, it's all very well and good me trying to bring in experts and mediums and coming from a professional's perspective. But what is really kind of raw and what is a lot better for you to understand is coming from a person that has been where you are or where you may be now in your journey, whether you're halfway, through your journey of grief, or you're at the beginning, you've just lost a loved one, or you lost someone many years back. It doesn't matter. That feeling there is raw. And so very often we miss certain subtle signs of communication from our loved ones. And what I want to do is to bring my friend in here and to talk a little bit about how music was very important in her life, and how her loved ones, she'd lost a loved one on the other side, and how she has managed to get her awakening, if you like, and her signs of life on the other side being continuous. And so let me just introduce you to my good friend Christina. Christina, are you there? Can you hear me?
Yes, I am.
Awesome.
Hi, Jack.
How are you? Good to speak to you. And I'm very honoured that you've decided to share your story with all these listeners who may be in the same position as you, or they have been in the past. And firstly, tell me, we don't have to go too much into unless you want to, who you are and what you do or anything else, but we know that you've lost a loved one in the past. That's right, yes?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
So that was in 2012.
Right, and that was obviously a very raw time for you. But how important to you, we're talking today about music and how spirit communicate with us through the medium, if you like, pardon the pun, of music. But how important was music to you in your life, how in your family? Tell us a little bit about that.
Music has been extremely important in my family. My father was a musician, and he was a professional accordionist and pianist, and he taught me to play the piano. My uncle was a cellist and a conductor, and so we loved listening to music. And then when I met my husband for the first time, we listened to a lot of music, and the music was Argentine rock music, and
wow.
we shared this love for music, and we married and continued to listen to it. And then as we had children, we stopped listening to that particular music and listened to other music. So when my husband passed away, he was communicating with me through music within a couple of weeks.
Now that's awesome to hear, because I mean, you're mentioning he started to communicate to you through music, and obviously because you shared that passion together, do you think that was the easiest way of him communicating with you?
Yes. he communicated with me always when I was in the hypnagogic state and throughout since 2012, but very intensely at the beginning. I didn't feel as badly about what happened for some reason because I felt very close to him, like we were bonded very closely. And when I would fall asleep in the hypnagogic state or wake up, I felt him very intensely communicating with me. And one morning, I woke up to a song blasting in my head that I hadn't heard in 30 years. And in Spanish, the song is called Solo se trata de vivir, which is, we are just here to try to live. It doesn't do justice to the translation at all. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful song.
Awesome.
And
awesome.
Part of the lyrics say, sometimes we encounter a wounded bird who touches our heart and makes us cry, but soon if we listen hard, we hear the poetry that comes from the bird. And I had heard those lyrics a long time ago, but didn't understand what they meant until that morning. And it was very loud and very very clear, the music. And again, I hadn't heard it for 30 years. And
that's amazing.
Through clairaudience, that was very loud. It was in my head, clairaudience. Then
let me just stop you there, because you're explaining that as you understand now, clairaudience and clairsentience. But at the time, you hadn't looked into the mediumship aspect of things. You're not a trained medium at the moment. Am I right?
No.
But this awakened, if you like, this actually awakened your interest into studying the afterlife. Yes.
It did. And actually what happened was I was going to a grief therapist and told her this and other things that happened during the hypnagogic day. And she said to me, you might be, able to see across the veil and hear and get messages. You might be. This might be telling you. And I said, no, I don't think so. I've never had anything like that before. No. But, she was right, because later a lot of things came to me, and they continue to come to me now. I mean, then I took mediumship classes, and my life changed. I mean, I could have relied on mediums, but I found that as time progressed, I didn't get as much out of that. It was necessary for me to develop, to feel better, to have evidence of my own. So he communicated
it's a catalyst.
to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So he was able to communicate to me that my mission was set here, that I had to finish. And that was what I got through clairsentience, that I needed to finish my mission. And that's not something that a medium can convey with words, but if you yourself experience the feeling, you're sure of it. It's proof.
And that's an important thing as well. When you say you're sure of it, there's a deep knowing in your being, in your soul, that this is right. Because obviously, when a lot of people hear from their loved ones on the other side, they tend to question: was this right? Did I really hear it? Did I experience that? And you just knew that song that was playing in your head was actually, that was for you.
Oh, definitely. I had no doubt. I mean, I wrote everything down, and then whenever I would feel depressed, I would reread my experiences, because it was better than going to a medium. Because, this was, I know that people go to mediums to validate these kinds of signs, but in some cases, you don't have any doubt, and this was one of them.
Yeah, I think it's important to note that as mediums, what we do is our job is to prove the existence of life after death, but then it's down to that person to start their own journey and to start awakening to the reality of that.
And there can be, I learned, a dialogue with a medium that continues in a healthy way, maybe every 6 months, or a year, and just to validate certain uncertainties. But it really is a journey for oneself to move forward with the soul's evolution. And I learned that, and I had no concept of this before this happened.
And did you ever receive any other? Was there any other signs for you, Christina? Did you ever have that feeling where you walk into your room and all of a sudden the favourite song played for you, or you were in your car? So a lot of people have that experience as well. Is that something you've also experienced?
Yes. So what happened was I started to, after I did a meditation to the full moon with binaural beats, because I do respond auditorily to a lot of things, I began to see orbs around the moon. And right after that, I started photographing these orbs, and I kept hearing the song, "You're a Sky Full of Stars," every morning. So that was another validation. Yeah, and I still hear it all the time. And then I ask other people, and they've never heard the song. And then I went to a medium, and the medium told me that the first thing he saw was a sky full of stars.
That's brilliant, and that's another validation for you that what you were hearing in this musical experience that you were receiving. And I think it's very important to say that should somebody not have as much of a musical vibrational alignment as you, they may experience it differently. But because obviously your understanding and your ability to receive that vibration, you could actually understand that more. Maybe
it is. But I think a lot of people, for many people, music is very special, and they can connect to their loved ones. They hear, and the meaning of the lyrics is very clear.
Yes.
Yeah.
And were you before? Let me just ask you, but just before we kind of finish on this, before anything like this happened, Christina, would you say that you were skeptical of being of a scientific mind? Would you say that you were skeptical of the afterlife, or you had a healthy skepticism, and this managed to awaken you?
I'm still actually. I'm very careful to. Yeah, I'm very skeptical. To the point where if I go to a medium, I use a fake name, and I immediately start to discount. Well, he or she could have gotten this from a public website. I'm completely skeptical.
That's good, actually, because I think it's very important to have that healthy skepticism. But I would venture an opinion that your skepticism has slightly been allayed a little bit because of your experiences and the fact that you've had these real experiences, albeit taking away the mediumistic side of it, taking away visiting a medium. The fact that you had these experiences within yourself in terms of the music connection, it made you research even deeper the reality of this.
Absolutely. And I would not have believed it, but I can say, actually, when people say to me, but we don't have proof, there's always that nagging feeling, and then I say, actually, I have proof.
That's amazing.
I have proof. From
a skeptic actually saying, I've got proof, actually.
Yeah. I mean, I'm skeptic about a lot of things, and I know I cannot believe everything, but what I have experienced, that's proof, because you're looking at a person. I have never seen anything in my third eye prior to this. And then I started seeing images in my third eye. So you go from nothing to this, and then that there's a reason.
Well, listen, Christina, thank you for sharing your story. Is there anything, what would you say to someone who has lost a loved one and they're looking for these signs, or they don't believe, that those signs are there? What would you say to them to help them understand and comfort them along their journey?
Well, I would say, I can only say what happened to me, because different things comfort different people. What comforted me was knowing that they are always just a thought away, because our loved ones have things that they have to do. So they're a thought away. So we can call on them, and they listen, and they respond. And I've had objects moved because I asked. But it's something that, we have to have faith also that they're a thought away, and know that we have our journey and they have their journey, and it's all going to be okay. And we need to evolve in this life just as they're evolving in their life. And as we evolve, we actually can be closer to them.
That's wonderful, and what a way to finish off and share your story there. Christina, I'd like to thank you for coming on Signs of Spirit, and thank you for sharing the knowledge that you've gained through your journey, and we hope that helps to awaken so many other people, and that they start to question with a loving heart. And I thank you again, and no doubt we'll be speaking again. I'd love to bring you back to talk about other experiences you've had, and let's keep in touch. And I'm sure if anybody wants to ask any questions, or I want to know a bit more about Christina's experiences, then just drop us a line on our page at Afterlife Connect. Christina, thank you again, and I'll speak to you soon. God bless.
It was a pleasure. Thank you, Jack. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, so you heard from Christina, and I'm sure you will agree that her example was phenomenal, and it shows you how she had opened herself up. She is primarily, and still being very skeptical in nature, but it's opened her up to the reality of the afterlife, and it's made her want to learn more. But there's so many little signs, even within her own story, that tell you many ways of being validated. And what I want to put across to you is that you don't have to continually keep going to a medium to receive that validation. As she says, go there once to recognize, that, hey, there is another side to life, and that life continues, and have that proof from a good medium. Maybe that medium will be able to validate the music that had been played. And let me give you an example of that in a particular setting. When a family had come through, and the gentleman who had passed had come through and said, hey, thank you for playing Highland Cathedral at my funeral, because I thoroughly enjoyed it. And really what he was doing was validating that they had chosen that particular song, that particular music, that meant something to the whole family, because they all picked it together. So the medium validated that information, and that goes some way to the family understanding that there is life after death, because how would the medium know that? There was so much more evidence that also helped to give more validations to back that up. But it's important to note that what Christina says is that you have to move on in your own journey as well. You cannot use a medium as a crutch, and you have the ability within you to open yourself up to receive these signs. And so you understand that how she received her first sign was the continual playing of the song in her mind. So there's one way the Spirit can communicate, is your loved one who loves a particular song that you love, you'll maybe hear it continually in your mind. And so that maybe you're not even thinking of that. You could be sitting at dinner, you could be sitting watching the TV, and all of a sudden, bang, that song comes into your head, but it won't go away. And it'll keep playing on your mind and playing on your mind. And that's kind of a good sure sign that Spirit's trying to communicate with you. They're trying to let you know that they're alive. In the same token, you can have that sign from Spirit sending you the sign, saying, like in Pat's case, I'll send you a bell, listen for the bell, and she hears the bell in a completely non-related situation where she wasn't thinking about it, sitting on her porch at night, and the bell that had never rung in the church before for years, and many years, all of a sudden tolls. It's a good example. And obviously, for her loved one to come through and validate, that you were playing our CD the other day and you were listening to the song, or you were listening to the music that we shared together. And that's a great way of validating. But there is so many ways that Spirit will communicate to you without that, that medium, because we're all mediums at some level. Everyone can sing, But just because you can sing doesn't mean that you can really sing, or that you're going to be of a standard of an opera singer or something like that. But you can hold a note, and you can learn to hold that note even longer. And that's what I want to get over to you today, is that these signs are around you in so many ways. And just want to share another little story about how, and a woman who shared this with me, Kathy, how her daughter who had passed had communicated with her by playing a song on her cell phone. Very strange. How would that happen? And the thing is that this happened in the middle of the night, where the cell phone all of a sudden just came on and played that song. Now, you've got to look at the science of it. Is there anything scientifically that that you could explain with that? Why would a cell phone that was off immediately start to play the song that her and her mother shared? She knew instantly inside of herself that was her daughter trying to communicate. And so there's many ways of getting that validation from a medium and from the spirit on the other side, who will reach out, because they can control that vibration a lot easier. And when you recognize it, and sometimes these signs will hit you slap in the face so hard, and other times it'll be so subtle that you won't notice it. And so there are many examples of spirit communicating through music to us. You may even dream about a particular musical note or a musical song, or even, I don't know, it could be anything. You may dream about it, and you can't get it, and you wake up in the morning and you remember that dream. And that's a surefire sign that Spirit's trying to communicate to you through the use of music, that medium. There have been many instances where people have walked into their rooms and all of a sudden their radio has come on and played that favourite song, especially if they've been thinking about their loved ones. And it also could be, when a medium tells you, your loved one's going to send you a sign of a particular song and give you the song, or give you evidence that supports that. And then maybe down the line you could be out somewhere and all of a sudden that plays out of the blue. Then that would be a sign for you. And it could be in many, many different ways that the spirit will reach out to you. But here's the thing. There is no point in you just sitting back and just waiting and looking every day. It's like watching a kettle that's boiling. It takes a lot longer. Have you noticed that? When you watch a kettle that's going to boil, it just takes a long, long time for it to reach its particular point. So there's no point in watching for it. You have to be aware and open for it. And towards the end of this course, as I said before, we are going to learn meditation, learn techniques, and learn how to do this. But in each of these lessons, all we want to do is for you to open your awareness now. Open your awareness to the fact that how Spirit will communicate with you and how musically they will reach out to you. So the next time that you're driving and your favourite loved one songs come on, say a little thanks, and understand it's from them. The next time that you're thinking of nothing and all of a sudden that song pops into your head, and then you maybe clairvoyantly you get a picture of your dad or your mum or something, say a little thanks and let them know, yeah, I know you're there and I know you're communicating with me. And that will help you in some way of going through your grief a lot better and trying to, you'll get to a point where you're understanding maybe your grief and you're recognizing that they're communicating with you and your loved ones are not gone and they haven't abandoned you. They definitely haven't. But there's so many ways that they will reach out to you. And you just have to be aware and open to that fact and the ability that they can actually do that. Now, I want you guys to write in and to send us your examples of how you have been communicated to from the other side using music. And there's just so many that we could talk about for hours and hours, but I don't want to bore you. I just want to give you an idea of how Spirit we're going to communicate with you. And look out for those songs playing, look out for those tracks, open your awareness to the songs coming in your head. Maybe you see something out of the ordinary about your loved one's favorite band or something like that. There is so many ways that music can reach you. And here's the other thing: if you meditate and you learn to meditate to that particular song, or you go into a state of meditation and relaxation, the chances are your loved ones will communicate to you in that meditation and may spark a song within you, may spark a memory within you that's connected to a particular piece of music. And you don't have to use a medium for that. You can do that on your own. But remember, when you open a door, you can either pull it towards you or you push it away from you. If you push it away from you, it goes away. If you pull it towards you, you bring it to you. It's almost like, I think you've got a choice. If you push for something and you push it too much, you push it away from you. You've got to allow things to come to you. Imagine the analogy I gave you before about the waterfall. You want to, you stand under a waterfall, you want to hold that water. And you want to keep it there, but you can't, because it's going to keep moving, or it will dissipate, it will go into the atmosphere. So the best thing that you can do is to immerse yourself under that waterfall, to immerse yourself in the water, to become part of it. You have to become part of that music. And so when you take that time to maybe meditate to music, or to take some time to listen to music and close your eyes and just feel that vibration within you, then you will be amazed at how easily your awareness opens up to being able to communicate with our loved ones. I'm not going to teach the meditation aspect or protection or anything like that at the moment. I just want you to understand and to look out, to start to open your awareness, to open the reality that you can communicate, that your loved ones will send you signs. And again, please send us your stories. So, this is not as long as the last one, but I want to just share these examples with you and invite you to tell you our stories. There's nothing much you can say more than the fact that your loved ones will be communicating through your favourite songs and your favourite things. But let me finish off with just a funny little story about vibration. And it's a story from my own vault. And I remember years ago I was teaching, and I was trying to teach people that how vibration is an illusion, how really everything that vibrates at an atom, and that something that's solid is actually not there. And if you break it down, as I explained to you, would just be a vibratory element of a particular force, of a pattern of molecules and atoms. And so one of my students had gone home and had said to their family, as they were sitting at the dinner table, "Hey, you see that dinner table there? Well, it's an illusion. It's not really there." To the amazement of all the skeptical eyes that laid upon them, who thought they were completely mad, and then questioned the validity of what I was teaching. So it gives you an idea of how people perceive things. The fact that you can't see it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. And that's the same with the spirit world, ladies and gentlemen. We may not be able to see it with our physical eyes now, but we can perceive it within our heart and our soul and our knowing. Thank you for joining me today. Thank you for Christina for telling her story. There's going to be more people coming on and telling their stories. And if you've got any questions or you want to ask anything, then please do so. Just a quick lesson to open you up to the reality of music from the other side. God bless.